think I can be a hero too?
I'll be a hero. Now, it's your turn. Destroy it all!
I heard that he doesn't look anything like a hero. He's always
of whether or not I would help. So why not start sooner rather than later?
Stop this, brother!
In the world.
So, My Hero Academia is over, and that feels strange enough to even say. This wasn't just a show that aired for years, it existed alongside a very specific stage of life, the unfinished one. That in-between era where you're not a kid anymore, but you don't feel like a real adult either. Late nights, burnout, feeling replaceable, quietly hoping you're meant for more than whatever your life looks like right now. Depending on what was happening in your life, this show hit differently. Sometimes it was hype, sometimes it was comfort, and sometimes it felt like the story was looking back at you. The fandom didn't always help. Memes, arguments, shipping wars, discourse cycles. But when you slow it down, rewind past the noise, My Hero Academia was always talking about something deeply human. So let's rewind.
Do you think I can be a hero too?
Season 1 starts with powerlessness. In a world where quirks are normal, Deku was born without one, and painfully aware of it. He worships heroes, studies them obsessively, fills notebooks with knowledge. He knows exactly what greatness looks like. He has no proof the world will ever let him touch it. That's why the moment that truly hooks the series isn't a fight. It's Deku running in anyway. No quirk, no plan, just instinct. All Might's words, "You too can become a hero," don't feel like a motivational speech. They feel like permission. Like someone finally saying, you're not stupid for wanting something big. Deku crying early on became meme fuel, sure, but underneath the jokes was something uncomfortable. He doesn't swallow the fear, he lets it show, and that hits harder the older you get. Season 1 isn't just an origin arc, it's the emotional blueprint of the entire series. A society that doesn't know what to do with the powerless, and one adult choosing to say yes anyway.
I wanted to. I'll be a hero.
Season 2 puts everything on display. The sports festival turns growth into spectacle. Talent, trauma, and insecurity all become public. Todoroki's arc ages with the audience. At first, he's just the cool tragic character. Later on, his refusal to use his fire feels like a boundary, not rebellion, survival. A kid trying to separate who he is from who hurt him. Then, Stain enters the story and fractures the conversation. He's wrong, violently wrong, but his critiques stick. He exposes the hero culture obsessed with image and status, and forces the story to stop asking who's the strongest and start asking who deserves the title. Once that question is asked, the series never goes back.
Now, it's your turn.
Season 3 begins with a belief most of us carry at some point. As long as someone strong is here, everything will be okay. The training camp shatters that illusion. Deku's fight with Muscular isn't about strength, even though, muscular. It's about terror and refusal. A kid pushing forward not because he thinks he'll win, but because stopping would mean letting someone else get hurt. And Bakugo's kidnapping escalates everything, dragging the story out of school exercises and into real consequences. Now All Might versus All For One doesn't just end a battle, it ends an era. When All Might burns the last of One For All and points forward saying, "You're next," it doesn't feel like encouragement, it feels like a handoff. From a symbol to a generation. And honestly, from the character to the viewer. Bakugo's breakdown afterwards redefines him completely. He stops being the angry rival and becomes a kid drowning in guilt, convinced that someone he admired gave up everything because of him. Season 3 makes the world feel real, not hopeless, real. Like realizing the adults don't actually have it all figured out. Scary, but freeing. Now Season 4 pulls the camera closer, away from rankings, away from society, to individual lives. This is where Kirishima becomes undeniable. Kirishima versus Rappa doesn't feel like a flashy shonen fight, and I love that. It feels like pressure testing a soul. Rappa is pure force, no ideology, no theatrics, just violence demanding you either break or fold. And Kirishima is terrified, and you can feel it, but he hardens anyway. Again? And again, that fight is heroism stripped to its core. Not being fearless, but choosing to stand when you're scared out of your mind. Kirishima wasn't born special, he made himself strong. That's why he feels the most achievable to me. Why he feels the most human. Why he's my favorite hero. Then Eri enters the story, and everything shifts. She doesn't hurt to watch because of spectacle. She hurts because of the small things. Flinching at kindness, confused by joy. She feels like the version of yourself that learned early that love was dangerous. Mirio versus Overhaul becomes unforgettable here. Mirio losing his quirk and still fighting feels like heroism stripped down to the bone. No power, no safety net, just resolve. For a moment, the show asks its most honest question yet. If everything that made you special was taken away, would you still stand up? Deku defeating Overhaul matters, but Eri surviving matters more. Then the school festival happens. After all the blood and fear, these kids pour everything into one performance just to make one child smile. The show says something radical without raising its voice. Joy isn't filler. Joy is part of healing. Season 5 is quieter, and that's intentional. Growth looks subtle here. Bakugo learns to rely on others. Endeavor tries, awkwardly, painfully, to change without being promised forgiveness. Then the story shifts perspective. Shigaraki's backstory forces you to confront an uncomfortable truth. Villains aren't born, they're shaped. Neglect, abuse, systems that fail children and call it collateral damage. Season 5 is often criticized for pacing, but its role becomes clear later. It's laying emotional groundwork. Without this, the war wouldn't hurt. It would just be noise.
I heard that he doesn't look anything like a hero.
Now Season 6 doesn't ease you in. It's chaos from the start. Heroes and students push themselves past their limit. Cities fall, public trust collapse. And this is where Vigilante Deku stops being cool and starts being uncomfortable. Vigilante Deku isn't a power fantasy. He's burnout given form. If I just take on more, if I just disappear, if I just suffer quietly, maybe I can protect everyone. And yeah, the line is corny, I'll admit it. But when the question gets asked, when the hero is saving everyone, who's saving them? It hits, because that's burnout. The people who carry the most are often the ones least allowed to break. Deku isolating himself for their sake is a responsibility twisted into self-destruction. Healing doesn't come from speeches, it comes from people refusing to let you vanish. Season 6 is exhausting on purpose, because that's what carrying everything alone does.
Stop this, brother.
Late game My Hero gets messy, loud, and emotional. This is where Dabi fully earns his place as my favorite villain. Not just because he's intimidating, but because of his duality with his brother. Dabi and Shoto are born from the same house, the same expectations, the same pressure. Shoto is what happens when someone survives the fire and learns to control it. Dabi is what happens when someone burns and decides the world deserves to feel it too. That contrast is everything. Dabi isn't chaos for chaos's sake. He's a walking accusation. Every monologue feels less like a threat and more like a confession no one listened to in time. The Todoroki family confrontation being public matters, because generational harm doesn't stay private. It leaks, poisons, and demands witnesses. Uraraka versus Toga reinforces that theme. Understanding someone's pain doesn't erase their crimes, but refusing to see them as human is how the cycle keeps repeating. And Gentle and LaBrava returning proves something simple. Redemption isn't a speech, it's action, especially when no one expects you to matter. Season 7 doesn't clean things up, it forces them into the open. Now, Season 8 is where I need to be honest. This season solidified my dislike for that section of manga fans who swore up and down that the ending was mid. Like, what does that even mean anymore? Because if this is mid, then we're not watching stories for the same reason, I'm sorry. Season 8 isn't about spectacle. It's about aftermath, grief, guilt, living with what you couldn't fix. Deku losing One for All isn't anticlimactic, it's the thesis. From day one, this story told us heroism wasn't about being special. Ending with Deku as a teacher, quirkless again, shaping the next generation, isn't a downgrade, it's full circle. Some resolutions are quiet, some pain doesn't get wrapped up neatly, and that's exactly why it works. Season 8 isn't trying to impress you, it's trying to leave you with something. At its core, My Hero Academia is about how society defines heroes and what that pressure does to kids growing up under it. Kirishima shows us effort and courage. Mirio shows us identity beyond power. Toga shows us what happens when love twists into loneliness. Dabi shows us what neglect turns into when ignored for too long. And Deku shows us that being a hero was never about being special. It was about choosing to protect others when you're scared, tired, or convinced you're not enough. So yeah, when I rank this, going in a firm A tier, I would say. Not perfect, but meaningful. My Hero Academia wasn't just a show that aired all these years. It was an experience. And for the people who needed it, it mattered. But what do I know? I'm just a guy who watches anime all day. But if you guys really like this video and want to see more, then help me out with dropping a like on it. It'll really help me out a lot. And subscribe if you're new. And I'll catch you guys next time you see me on your homepage. And with that being said, I'm out.